Hi, I'm Jürgen Rasmussen. In this video, we're going to be looking at when murderers claim amnesia for the act of killing. Did you know internationally that in 20 to 40% of murder cases, people claim full or partial amnesia for the very act of killing? They might claim to have clear memories in terms of what happened before the act of killing and also after the act of killing, but they will claim that they either partially or fully can't remember the act of killing itself. A lot of people who have subjected other people to accidents will also make the same claim that they somehow blocked out that particular memory. Sometimes this phenomena is referred to as a red out. This notion that someone can get so angry or so jealous or so paranoid that they essentially lose it and do this heinous act, which is then dissociated from regular memory. Here in Norway, a few years ago, there was a team of researchers who looked at 102 murder cases where 17 of them claimed full amnesia for the act of killing and 26 claimed partial amnesia for the act of killing. Sometimes in courts, this defense actually works. There's a case in a Norwegian city called Haugesund from back in 2001 where the judges completely bought into this notion of a readout or selective amnesia. And they explained it by the traumatic events of that person's life and the acute stress that he had been under during the night of the murder. It's not just in Norway that this is a phenomena, and not just in murder cases, as I said, but in accidents. There's one case where a guy with his car ran over two girls who were horseback riding with this carriage and they were killed. And he claims to have full memory of what happened before and after, but not of the accident itself. There's a case, and these cases are from Svein Magnussen's book, Witness Psychology, from the city of Bergen in Norway, where you had a guy who ran over his wife and child and then ran over his wife multiple times, assumedly to make sure that the job was done. And he claimed to have very well memory for what happened before and what happened, but not of that in of itself. Not just in Norway, there's famous international cases of this as well. Sirhan Sirhan in the United States has for close to 60 years claimed full amnesia for the murder of Bobby Kennedy. He revealed himself a while back when undergoing hypnosis, where he claimed to then be able to access memories of doing this. He had been sold this notion that hypnosis was a unique state of mind where you have access to memories which are sealed off. But this isn't actually true of hypnosis. And this revealed that the most likely explanation was that he was just lying the entire time. After the Second World War, the Nuremberg trials, Rudolf Hess tried this very defense. He claimed full amnesia for his heinous acts during the war. He later recanted and admitted that the whole thing was a lie because he realized that by claiming full amnesia, he was in no position to defend himself whatsoever against the allegations. So, what about this? This is the twin of the whole repressed memory epidemic, right? Where people went to psychotherapists and they were sold, and I've made many videos on this topic on this channel, but where people were sold this idea that their symptoms and their suffering was evidence that they had repressed memories of sexual abuse and that therapeutic methods could help unlock the memories. This is the exact same claim, only in another convenient direction. That I somehow did a red out, blacked out. I was in such an intense emotional state that I have no access to what I did, and therefore I'm not liable. So, if we look at the science, what are we to conclude? There is no reason really to take these allegations seriously. There is every reason to suspect that these folks are just flat out lying. And here's why. The memory research shows very clearly, time and time again, that when people have strong emotions and they experience something that they find very personally relevant, they tend to remember more vividly, more clearly, for the memory to feel way more realistic. There's nothing in the memory science to really suggest that because of an intense emotional state, the memory gets dissociated or split off and not available to, let's say, more ordinary states of consciousness. So this is another example of how bad ideas peddled by trauma activists can have horrible consequences when taken seriously. People might believe, murderers or others who have done heinous things and begin to make excuses for them. You can understand that someone who has caused someone else's death, for example, through an accident or negligence, that they might not want to talk about it or fess up to it. And this is a kind of convenient cover, if you will. Now, there are cases of what used to be called psychogenic amnesia or dissociative amnesia, but it doesn't tend to work the way that these murderers claim. It doesn't work as in you can remember something before the act and then after the act, but you blocked out the memory due to intense emotion. That's not how cases of dissociative amnesia tends to work. First of all, they're extremely rare, and they tend to occur after a long period of mild stress. And it tends to extend over a way longer period of time where there's not where there is more of a blurry distinction between what people can remember and what they can't remember, right? So after longer periods of mild stress, and it tends to occur for longer stretches of time, and it's extremely rare. Now, of course, what I'm excluding here are people who were severely intoxicated when committing a murder, or people who might have been knocked unconscious and gotten brain injuries, for example. With strong intoxication, people might, have been able to talk and to do things, but there are physiological reasons for the memories not being stored into long-term memory due to the intoxication, right? And also with stuff like head injuries, I've never been knocked out myself in competition, but I've, through the martial arts, had the chance to spend time with people who have been knocked out. And I've personally seen people get knocked out in a fight, and then you go back with them to the dressing room, And then they suddenly stand up and they're ready to go and they're excited about their match. And it turns out that they have no memory, right, from the match whatsoever. My wife was in a serious car accident, a quarter of a century ago, and she can't remember pretty much the last 6 months before the car accident. So these are memories that are lost forever, due to head injuries. So, but if you take away drugs and intoxication and brain damage through concussions and getting knocked unconscious and stuff like that, there's no reason whatsoever to believe in the concept of readouts if someone claims that they can remember what happened before the accident or the murder or the violent act and after, but they somehow blocked out the memory. All the evidence suggests that the person is quite simply lying. And that is very useful to know. I hope this video was useful to you and interesting. If you're looking to make some sort of change in your life and you're wondering whether you and I could be a good fit, you can reach me through provocativhypnosis.com. Same if you're looking for mentoring, or if you would just like to learn more from me, you can check the seminar page and see what I have coming up. If you liked the video, please like it, please subscribe to the channel, and please share it with someone who you think might benefit from this very message. As always, thanks for listening.